What is up, everybody? It's me, Duke Farley, back at it again here on Lost at Sea. And tonight we are discussing week 3 of Big Brother. And guys, the last time we chatted, well, first of all, hello, Patrick, Uncle Shane. How are you guys? What's going on? You guys doing good?
Yeah, check the greeting off your little list.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
Yeah. Forgot the
Dude,
greeting.
how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
It's
But
down to business.
let's get down to business. Let's get right down to business. Last time we spoke, we were, there were 3 nominees, and a veto left to be played. And the winner of the veto was Kenny. Now, Kenny has been, a little bit struggling as of late in the game, but he's able to clutch this veto and get himself off the block. So, Uncle Shane, what do you think about Kenny? Him in general at this point, getting off the block.
I mean, he's not really competing against anybody that I think is powerful. So I think it's fairly easy for him to get off the block. It's just, we kind of talked about it on the last podcast is I think Pat was sort of saying like how Boston is like over Kenny, like he's not Boston strong at all. And yeah, I think that he comes off even in the last couple of episodes, like he's like in tears, or if he's not in tears, he's real close to it. And now he's telling people that he's a detective. I don't know what's going on. And at one point, I think he's realizing that Boston's probably like, Kenny, you're a pussy, right? Like, it's like, should have a shirt that says like Boston wrong. Right?
Yeah.
Because he's just letting down like the whole city. I like him. I did hear somebody say that maybe this is all part of his game plan, but I don't see how it is, because he's saying it just to like little people, like how he may, or like groups of 1 and 2, how he may want to go home. So I don't see how that really affects his game in a positive way. I just think that I personally like him and I want to see him really compete, but I don't know. He's a disappointment overall.
It seems like he's just like half in, half out. It depends on the day. And, what do you think about Kenny, Pat?
I mean, I agree. I think it's so yeah, it's one thing. I think it's also funny to be like, I'm Boston strong, and then like 10 days in, you're like, I want to go home, and it's like, you're not. Then you like the Big Brother house can be a lot. I'm sure. None of us have ever experienced it, or I get it. It's tough, but you signed up for it. You knew what you were doing. And for somebody to go in there and be like, well, I got a great life and I miss my kids. It's like, okay, so you don't want to be there. Like, you don't. You're here to compete. And I feel like that there's been a lot of that with this cast being like, well, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. They lied to me. What's going on? It's like, yeah, that's the game. What are we doing? like fucking step it up. And especially with Kenny, he is a good competitor. He can win. And he's like a likable guy. He's just so he's likable enough. He can compete. I don't think he has absolutely no social game, which is tough because it's like, he could play that figure if he was just more focused on the game and more focused on like getting in with people. I think he would do well, but he's just half in, half out, like Uncle Shane said, or like how you said. It's just he clearly doesn't want to be there. So it's tough for me to root for somebody that doesn't want to be there. It's like, if you don't want to be here, go. I don't want to watch. And you're not entertaining to watch when your DRs, you're sniffling like a pussy, being like, I miss my kids and I want to be here. It's like, no, fucking man up, dude.
That's not relatable to you, Pat?
No, I don't have kids. I don't give a fuck. Of course it's not relatable to me.
Guys, we've now been covering, this is the 3rd week of our coverage, and the first 2 weeks we've talked about Angela and her getting into fights, and she brought another one to the table to talk about. This one was more of a miscommunication among people, but Patrick, with Quinn being, the one that you chose to be the winner of the season, and the miscommunication between Angela and Quinn, what do you think of this entire, dialogue between them, T-Core, the people out by the hammock? What are you thinking about this?
First of all, I think it was a dumb move on Quinn. It was not a good move.
He was being a
And
little bit of a Mr. Shady guy.
Mr. Shady guy, Mr. Shady guy all around. And it's like, I think I see the point of him being like, well, let me put the target on Angela some more. It's like, you don't have to do that. She just does that. Like, and for somebody that, if you don't want your secret getting out, you shouldn't put her in the line of fire, because she is all over the place constantly. The fact that you would, and I get it, and maybe he was just going to T-Core and be like, hey, as a friend, watch out. Angela said this, but of course, T-Core is going to relay that information, of course, because I don't think it was a smart move on Quinn. It wasn't a smart move on Quinn. I mean, granted, he kind of skirted out of that relatively well. Like, there wasn't, I mean, we'll see because I think now that Angela is in the house, his thing's coming out. Like, so I think we should all be prepared for, like, and I think, he's got his hands in a lot of pots, and I feel like there is going to be a moment where people are like, oh, well, Quinn is, and this is also the last week that he can. This is the last week he can. No, he's got one more week, or maybe the last week.
After this vote, it will be the last time you can use it. Yep.
Yeah, but just a bizarre move on Quinn. Like, great TV, and I just don't get it from a game standpoint. As a viewer, I was like, sure, fucking stir the pot. This is great. Again, this whole season been super entertaining. I've been loving every single second. Gameplay is terrible, but I am a big fan of the season so far. But Quinn, what do you like? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I didn't mind it. I didn't mind him doing that. What I thought was great was that thing where somebody says something or that could be considered racist. And then that fear of, it's not like a fear that I said something that was horrible. It's a fear that, oh my God, people are going to judge me because of what I just said. And that's what Angela did. It was like, I love that she was like, oh no, T-Core, that is not, like, it's like, well, they do all have something in common, right?
Yeah.
And you pointed it out. And so Angela, you're just like, just her then being like, that could be like, it would have stabbed in the heart. That would be the worst thing. It's like, you're a fucking lunatic. And like, you are offending everybody. The speech that she does when she's saved and she's like screaming, I want to play Big Brother. And she's stomping her foot and they're all just kind of sitting there having to listen to her like moment, her little soliloquy at the end was, I love it. And it's like, and Big Brother editors, shout out to them for going from one phase slow to the next phase to the next phase. Everybody hates her, Poor, what's his name?
Cedric.
The guy who talks with his hands all the time that you were talking about.
Cedric, yeah.
Oh, Cedric.
That was
He's
the funny.
always like embracing her. Like, why do you have to embrace her? Right? She's saying borderline racist stuff. She's a horrible person, and she's constantly like embracing you, and like you're constantly. I always see like his hand like rubbing her back. I'm like, what is going on?
I loved the moment where that whole situation is blowing up, and it's like true that two things can be true at the same time. You did say that. Granted, I probably wasn't your intention. I'm sure, I don't think Angela's racist, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good as you as a older white lady being like, that's the group. And, it's all the people of color. You're like, okay. And granted, they were talking about keeping each other. So she wasn't far off, but the optics of that don't look good. And for her to not like think of that, kind of crazy. And then for her to be like, well, you're hurting me. It's like, no, but you said that though. Like you again, you're not taking accountability for like, you're not acknowledging what this is. You're keeping like, well, no, I didn't, you hurt me now. I'm going to put my hurt on you. And it's like, anyone who does that, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Yeah. And the best part is when she goes out and Cedric is just making food. And she's like,
Wrong
I'm not
place.
racist. And he goes, I don't, what? Okay, yeah.
Do you have croutons?
Yeah. Poor Cedric's like, oh, dude, like, you just dropped this bomb in my lap where I don't want to deal with this. And she's like, Cedric, you know I'm not racist. He goes, dude, I don't, okay, yeah. No.
Yeah. Pat, you mentioned, this season has been so entertaining, but there's been some pretty terrible gameplay. I want to bring up a character on the season that we talked about briefly yesterday in Tucker. And Tucker decides to go to Chelsea and, say, I'll just go up on the block. And Bree and I were watching this, and she was like, "Oh, that's a really nice thing for Tucker to do." And I said, "You never do that in this game because you will constantly be the pawn, and pawns go home." But what do you guys think about, Tucker just out of the blue volunteering himself to go up?
There's a whole Tucker thing going on, right? There's like when he saves himself in whatever that competition was, in the veto competition, or his dance back in with the braided hair and like it's like constantly posing. It's like he did something cool, but then he like took like a bunch of steps back and he looks like a dude, right? So it's like tough to like this guy. And then every once in a while, like when everybody's like freaking out and he volunteers again, you're kind of like, oh, this guy's great. Like he's gonna do it again. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like once you know you can call on him for that, you're always gonna get that shitty duty, right? So
He's that
but
guy now.
but he's that guy and he's going to go in and win, right? The problem is that you got to deal with him walking around with his shirt off all the time, posing and flexing and like doing his stupid shit. And I love that like there's a girl in the house that like is into him, but like he's into fish, like he's staring at the fish. He's a really bizarre guy, like super strange, you know? And I love how he thinks he's like this, like he could just read somebody's body language and get the whole story, and he never has the whole story. It's always like just part of it, you know.
Yeah,
But
it's
he's
weird.
been close a couple of
Yeah.
times though, which is kind of
A couple
crazy.
times, yeah.
And that's, yeah, I was just about to that. He's like, he's so odd. Like the way he talks too is like, I don't know, it's like this like weird
It's all
marbling
put on
random.
though. It's not like it's from a region of where he lives.
I don't know. That's just him. It's like douchebag Marlon Brando's like, I don't know. I like puzzles. And it's like, what is that? And it's so, he is really interesting to watch. But I thought the same thing, dude. As soon as he was like, now, granted, in my mind, if I'm Tucker, he seems to be just shooting at the hip, doesn't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
Kind of awesome to watch. If you're going to go up as a pawn, go up against those two. I mean, Lisa and Angela might be the least likable house guests I've seen. Two of the like least likable like castmates or house guests I've seen in a very long time. Like every year you get one, maybe one, or like somebody like flips out.
Yeah.
These two, and Chelsea said it best. Can we get both of these jokers out of here? Like it was these two. And so from Tucker's standpoint, if you're gonna volunteer yourself, this might as well be the week. You can dominate both of those. Know for a fact you're gonna win in this competition. And even if he lost, I mean, I don't know. I still think they would have gotten the other one out because they're so unlikable. Both of them were so unlikable. So, but again, don't volunteer because now as we see, you're just gonna be that guy. Which, if he has the confidence to do that, sure. But that is rule one: you never volunteer. Like pawns go home.
He could become Big Brother famous though from constantly volunteering and constantly battling back. That could be cool. Like he could make his mark on the game that way.
And he's got two shots every week if he decides to go that route, which is, it's a bizarre way to go, but he's a bizarre guy. I wanted to talk about Tucker just blatantly calling Mackenzie out on her power, and she kind of just was like, yeah, I do have that. Just kind of folded under that.
Yeah.
I mean, Duke, do you think like what is your take on like the gameplay that everyone's doing so far? I mean, because like moments like that where like, guys, lie, just lie. He's like, I think you have the power. You could. I mean, Mackenzie is just like, yeah. Now everybody knows it. You tell one person, and everyone knows. Like, what are we doing? Like, what do you think?
I think that, there's so many players that are just playing, like you said, from the hip, Pat, that these people that are in this Pentagon Alliance, they're gonna have such an easy road to get to the end because these guys are just gonna shoot themselves in the foot. Everybody's just kind of, and then you got Kenny who just is begging to leave every other day. It's like,
Why
dude,
not just, if you're Mackenzie, just come out and say early on, or whoever, like, I've got this power. Nobody's going to want to take you off. I mean, no one's going to want to put you up if they know that you can come right off. So why does it have to be a secret? That's the part I don't understand. I don't see any reason to keep it a secret unless you're going to use it to pull off somebody that you want. But she watched her boyfriend go home and she didn't pull him off, Well,
Yeah,
not off the block anyway.
yeah, crazy eyes. But
Maybe edit that. I'll leave it.
but yeah, I mean, because also the only other person that knows that it's only good for 4 weeks is Quinn, and I think I don't know if she's mentioned it. Maybe I'm wrong, but she hasn't mentioned like it's only 4 weeks. I think everybody's under the impression that this is a power she can use at any time, which I would agree, Uncle Shane. I think she should probably just be like ride with that. Be like, yeah, I can use it whenever. If you put me up, I will just take myself off. And the random factor of America voting would scare me if I was an HOH. It's like I don't know how I'm being perceived or how my closest allies are being perceived in America's eyes. So, I mean, I think it's clear that Angela would probably go up if, that was the case. But it is smart, but it's like, I feel like don't dance around it then. If you're going to do it, own it. If not, dude, just keep it shut. I mean, it is kind of working for her because she keeps evading the block. So that's cool. So maybe she's got a better sense than I do, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
I'm glad nobody's used it because that means Angela will go up and or Angela will be destroyed. And I kind of want her, man. She's my favorite player in a long time.
Yeah. I do want her
love to watch her unravel. Just, oh my God, it's so much fun.
that whole what did you think of? Okay, I mean, we're gonna get into it, but that.
Oh yeah.
That.
Guys, I want to talk about Lisa. Lisa was eliminated, obviously, 11-1. Kenny not in the loop as usual. Anything from Lisa's exit interview stand out to you guys, or anything just in general from Lisa, or are we ready to close the book on Lisa here?
No, I mean, listen, she's a powerful goddess, right? And she told us that herself on the way out. And she was just not self-aware at all. Like just has no idea what people think of her and had no idea like how annoying she was. But like it was pretty universal. It felt like in the house that everybody felt the same way about her. And she had this really weird thing. And I don't know if you guys noticed it, but like when she would ask you like, where you were planning to vote or what you thought, she would look dead in the eyes, like there was nothing back there. And she just kind of like stared through to your soul. And I found that to be like really uncomfortable. So I was okay with her leaving. She, as awkward as she made it, it wasn't awkward fun like the way that, the mom of the house is, so I was ready for her to go.
Yeah, I agree. I think Angela brings like a chaotic, I'm going to call you out. I'm going to blow up everything. That's fun. Like it is tough to watch, especially like the most recent one where she's like, you're hurting me. I'm hurting. You're doing that. Like that was tough it was fun, tough to watch. Lisa was, I think, even harder to watch because their whole interaction, it's like, yeah, first of all, Angela just also had beef with Lisa for, I guess, kind of no reason. She's like, she was going in once and she was like, Lisa, wipe that smirk off your face. And Lisa's just like, what? I didn't. And then for her to be mocking her walk, and then
do you think it was Lisa, justified, Pat? That walk's kind of weird.
I mean, she does have an interesting walk. I think if you are gonna make fun of someone's walk, they should have one. And it was funny because Angela did that like walk, and then it showed Lisa, and it was like, that was pretty spot on. That's a really good impression of her walk.
Dead on. Nailed it.
I mean, you can. That's not a nice thing to do. It was dead on. But yeah, I thought it was on. You know, Angela doesn't need to do that, but it's like, you're grown-ups. Like, say shit back to her. You're gonna go. She calls you a twit. A twit.
Never heard that one before. Have you guys?
Never heard that.
You ever heard the word twit?
No.
Oh yeah, that's old school. But you know what my favorite part of that is, Pat? Sorry to jump in on you. When somebody is like, they're like, Lisa is down on the ground sobbing, like, because she's just been called a twit,
hyperventilating.
Yeah, she like was horrified, and somebody goes, like, what does that even mean, right? And then the attractive one goes, it's kind of like a woman with no brain or something like that. And then it was like,
yeah.
And so, and then like, you kind of like it just like, I think she started sobbing harder. It was great.
Yeah, that whole, like, what is a twist?
Oh, makes sense.
I think it's a fucking moron. I think that's what that is.
Who probably walks like this.
Yeah, probably somebody with a stupid walk and a moron. But for Lisa to have such paper thin skin, it's what she called you a twit. She didn't stomp on your dog. Like, what do you? She was hyperventilating. And for her to be like, I am a queen, I am a goddess, and I know that, I was like, dude, I want Angela to come in here and beat the shit out of you, kind of. Like, for you to just be like, just not be able to even like remotely take that, or like, it just proves like you're not built for this game. And even in her, I mean, the blind side of the, like, her face was so funny when they voted her out 11-1, and Maya and I were cackling because the best part is she's like dead-eyed, unbelievable, and it was like, oh, sorry.
the awkward hugs.
The hugs were so terrible.
I didn't think they were going to end. I didn't think they were going to.
Yeah, they were the slowest, worst hugs.
Dude, Jesus. If I'm Lisa, walk out. Don't just walk. Like, don't give the hugs. Not with that face. If she was like, oh, you know what happens. She was.
If they showed that cast, like if we saw that cast just walk in and they panned and you got to see everybody for the first time, and they said, hey, listen, one of these people is going to be a real bully. Would you assume it was the 50-year-old plus size mom realtor? Like, would that have been the person that you would have picked as the bully? Would you have picked one of the more masculine dudes as the bully?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. The fact that it's the mom is so great. You know, it's like,
how about Angela's dig at Lisa on the way out with, let's throw the glitter out too. She left the glitter. Let's throw it away. Oh,
I missed that. Oh, I would have loved to have heard that.
Lisa's gonna watch that back, and she's just gonna be heartbroken, guys.
Yeah.
Speaking of watching it back, sorry, Pat. What about when Angela's like, roll the tape back? Roll the tape back. It's like the tape where you say something that's borderline racist. Like, you want us to watch it again?
Yeah, that was so funny. Where she's like, I didn't say that. And it's like, you did. You know, you might have not meant it that way, but that's not a great look. By the way, T-Core, I think, handled that great. I thought she was like, yeah, no, you know, kind of called you out, but wasn't like over the top. Like, she didn't imply that, but she was like, hey, this is what it could be perceived as. So I thought T-Core handled that great, and I'm starting to like T-Core a lot more. Initially, yeah. I was really thrown off by the accent. I was like, I'm not gonna like her just based on that. She's been really great, you know, these last few episodes too. Also, Chelsea, so funny, great HOH. I thought, because when that
went flawlessly. She really did a
Literally.
great job.
But wait, going back to T-Core, when she was in that tense moment, she did handle herself fantastic. But she didn't speak all bizarre. Like her speech pattern thing
Yeah.
was weird. When she went into the diary room, it was back and it was like 10 times stronger. So is it like tense T-Core, totally fine, relaxed T-Core speaks like a weirdo?
That is true.
I think she's trying to put on a show in the diary room with the accent. I think that's what she's trying to do.
I prefer her like handling tough situations because it really did a nice job.
Really more palatable.
What about all the dudes, all like the love connections, or were you gonna get there, Doogie?
Yeah, I was gonna get there. The Showmance update. Let's just dive right into that. We have a nice little breakdown from Big Brother where Chelsea kind of goes through, where everybody's, the feelings are of the house. And, Chelsea, she's kind of digging Cam, but Cam's kind of into Leah, but Leah, she's kind of into Tucker. And then Uncle Shane, you mentioned that, Tucker's into the fish off to the side. But there was also Quinn who was into Leah. So it looks like Leah, Quinn and Cam have some competition, and they're just showing some scenes there of the two. Were you guys picking up anything like any awkwardness between those three at all?
I feel like Quinn realizes that he doesn't really have a shot, but he's just there for like whenever moment he can have. Like if he can like piggyback ride or do some silly dance with her in the kitchen, like they do that.
Yeah.
The two other guys are in incredible shape, but she also likes fat guys, so like maybe the dude with the mustache should be in there too.
Yeah,
that guy just keeps getting ricochet shots.
He is so odd. I still can't pinpoint what he's like. I don't know how to feel about him at all.
He's been very meh. He's been very not given
so
much.
Is like the handsome black guy. Like he brings nothing to the table. And then the other woman who was like wacky, like in the beginning, she was like super wacky. She gets zero airtime, and I can't figure out why.
Yeah, I don't know. It's those three. I'm like,
but guys, we get a new HOH. We get Cedric here, who clutches the balance beam competition, and the nominations again pretty simple. The first two being Angela and Kenny. And then he's going and trying to find a third, and we get, what do you know, Tucker volunteering for one. But before we talk about, Tucker volunteering, I do think Tucker has a good point here in, he knows that Cedric knows about the upgrade that Mackenzie has, and he's telling him, you should try to flush it, put her on the block, flush the upgrade, and Cedric doesn't end up doing that. But I thought that was a smart, line of thinking from Tucker to get that power out of the game potentially. What do you guys think of this?
I mean, I don't think it's I think it makes sense. He wants it out because I don't know if he knows what exactly what the power is. Like he's been told something, but does he know exactly what it is? I mean, why not get it out? But I also think like, why bother? Like, I understand why she didn't do it.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised he didn't put her up. I mean, also based on the conversation that Chelsea had with him, because Chelsea was also like, you should put her up. They were talking about you. Like they floated your name out there. So I thought in my mind, I was like, oh, well, that's a good, third nominee. That's a good out. Like, and it's also, she has a power. So regardless, you would have to put, I mean, in his mind, he probably thinks he would have to put up a third nominee. Granted, it's America, so that is a gamble. But the idea that he's like, well, I don't want them to come after me next week. I was like, well, regardless, it sounds like they are, if they were in power, that they would kind of come after you. So why not flush a power and also just take the first shot? You know, because if I heard from my number one ally, somebody I'm in alliance with, Chelsea and Leo were talking about me, put Mackenzie up. She takes herself off, whoever goes up, and then put Leah up. If one of Kenny or the new nominee or Angela take themselves up, put the people who have been putting your name out there. But I understand he doesn't want to draw a line in the sand, but it's going to get to a point where somebody's going to have to do it. So
Yeah, I think his line of thinking is probably play it safe. Let Kenny, Angela, those are people that are probably going to be going next. Hopefully it's, she doesn't win it. Mackenzie doesn't win HOH, but I was surprised that he did not go that route after the conversation he had with Chelsea, knowing that they were saying his name. But he plays it safe, which, it's early. Yeah, but besides that, we have our final nominees. Thoughts on Tucker, volunteering again? I mean, we kind of talked about it. It just seems like he's going to be that guy, unfortunately.
Yeah, now I'm getting kind of worried because he does have 2 opportunities to take him off, and I think he's going to try to. But regardless, it's weird. I think in a scenario where now that Tucker has shown that he clearly can win, if he's up against Angela, which people do not see her as a threat because of how, I mean, the only person is Quinn, which he should. But I mean, this is I think it's more dangerous now because regardless, I think if he was up against Lisa, I think he would have stayed because people just did not like Lisa. But now that Tucker has kind of proven he can compete and he's literally not scared to go up, and he's been doing this I can read you type of mentality, he is the biggest threat on that block. And I think if there is an opportunity where he stays on that block, he could easily go home. And if I'm one of the house guests, he is my vote because I know I can beat Angela. I know I can probably beat Kenny. He doesn't want to be here regardless. The one guy who keeps saying that he knows all the powers and he can read people and can win competitions. I don't want him in the house. So he's got to watch himself. But it's
also
going to be
Pat, also keep in mind, 2 guys will want him out because they both are after this girl that likes him. They're not interested in him. All the more reason why you want this guy out, so you have a shot with the blonde.
That could play a factor in too. That'd be, he doesn't realize how many enemies he actually does have. So
yeah,
he's just looking at fish.
He's analyzing what the fish are thinking.
The last thing that I'll say before we kind of close out is there was an awkward conversation in one of the episodes with Angela and Tucker where Angela is kind of hinting at she knows that Quinn has the upgrade to him. Do we think Angela's going to spill the beans about the shady guy anytime soon?
It's going to happen because she can't help herself. And I just hope it's big and obnoxious and a big... Yeah. I hope so.
I hope she calls a house meeting.
Oh,
everyone involved.
God.
Or what are those that come down the stairs thing again, where she's like, but it's like a movie. What is the line? It's like a low budget film.
That is the best. I'm going to use that from now on.
Great acting for a low budget film.
For a low budget film that doesn't do well in the box office. All right, it's going. It keeps going.
6 weeks later, it's on DVD.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I think it's going to happen this week because I think also Angela is also seeing that she's not up against Lisa, who was arguably more unlikable than her in some sense. I mean, I don't know if she has the self-awareness to think this way. Probably not, because clearly that's been proven. But I think she is this week, especially. She's back on the block. She's up against Kenny and Tucker. I think she might try to buy information. I think she might try to buy her way back by giving out this information. I don't think she's going to do it well. She'll probably blow up Quinn's game, but she might try. She's going to. But I think the strategy would be like, let me blow up Quinn's game, because his power is dangerous, is like way more dangerous than Mackenzie's. So if I'm Angela, I'll blow up his game. I'll say, if you can't do it now, take me off and put him on, because next week he could easily run this. He has in power. He can run the house. And the fact that he could have framed it on someone is even more dangerous. And I'm the only person who knows. If I'm going to try to buy myself another week, my relationship with Quinn is blown up already. Let me blow it up even more. Let me get him out this week. And it gets out a player that everyone likes. And that, that could change the dynamics of the house. So if I'm Angela, blow it up, girl. You owe nothing to Quinn. You're on the block. You might as well. There is a chance if she does it before the veto, she wins or somebody wins. Let's get Quinn out. He's got a legitimate HOH in his pocket. Why not?
She would have to do it before the veto, though, because if she doesn't, then he's going to use it next week.
Yeah,
probably on her.
You say she doesn't owe him anything. No, he hosed her. Like, he put out that information that she gave him about that. Like that was her working with him, and then he douched her. So now she has a reason to do it. But I'm just thinking about it like, I need her to be at least in the jury house. Like, I need that to happen. So every week when we see somebody come in, then be miserable when they see her, right? But if you're CBS, right, and you realize she's great television, because even Julie, it's the first thing she says when she leads off. She's like, welcome to another episode of Big Brother. Yeah, Angela does it again. Just stay tuned, right? So like, CBS knows how valuable it is to have her. So what I think is, like, you can't fix the games, because then it's like you lose integrity. Nobody wants to watch the show. But you could choose what games are played. Don't throw a balance beam game in there. Right? Throw a game like crocheting or something like that, or something that she, like, making apple pies. What can you do that she could do well with? Maybe it's throwing that puck down, something where she stands a chance, not anything athletic. Don't put her on the thing where she's got to hold the wall, and then it tilts and it gets sprayed colors. Like, don't do that. Give it some, like, simple games so she can stay in.
Yeah. I think, I don't know what would be worse, hell, or having her be in the jury house and then you're the next week and you have to wait, and you just have to hang out with Angela for an entire week.
Do you think she's going to be you think she's going to be a big "I told you so" person?
Oh, she's I guarantee, if Angela's in the jury house every single week,
shouldn't have voted me out. Shouldn't have voted me out.
We will cut to the jury house and her being like, how about that bad movie?